Hi, I'm Corey. Welcome to Creating with Scraps. Like many of you, I plan one thing and then life happens and something else takes precedence over what I was going to do or what I had planned. And I had a lot of different ideas for this video today, but I got a message yesterday late. Yesterday was my last day of school for this school year, and I got a message from a viewer that's also a friend, and she had mentioned that another video maker, Tina from Shabby Dabby Doodah, had shared a message that she was going through a really difficult time. And that just sings to my heart. I didn't know the circumstances at all, but it just sings to me because, or I guess maybe weighs heavily on me because I get it. What I have been through over the last 7 months has been nothing compared to what many go through, but it's still been very difficult. And so I went and followed her link and watched, and my heart just broke for Tina. I just, through circumstances that are maybe out of your control or that you don't expect, things change and it alters the course of your life significantly. So I'm combining all that to say, the reason that the hashtag Shabby Dabby Doodah is on here is because in her video she had mentioned that she normally does a mass make. Now, I don't watch Tina, not because I don't appreciate her skill and talent. I do very much, but I have to limit the number of people I watch for several reasons. One, the number of time, the amount of time that I have to spend on videos, and two, I don't want to forget where I get an idea. I want to make sure and give credit to any place that inspires me to do something. And one way I do that is by limiting the number of people I watch. And then I got a message this morning from another viewer who said that Rachel at Roxy Creations, and that's another person I respect immensely, she's super talented, just like Tina, but I don't watch, that she had done a video in support of Tina. And I loved that. I love the idea that we're a community that's huge and spread out over this enormous world, but we're also small and we're insular, and the fact that we have the opportunity to support each other is huge. So what I did is I went to I bought her a coffee, and I'm going to put her the link in case you'd like to, I'm certainly not telling anyone what to do, but if you'd like to, maybe help support Tina, maybe like me, you didn't know something was going on, and maybe you'd like to support her. So I'll put her Etsy shop and her Buy Me a Coffee on there. And what I thought I'd do is do a mass make video, because Tina normally does mass make videos and she's not able to this week. So I thought, oh, okay, I can make a mass make video and encourage people to go watch Tina. And I also purchased some of her digitals. Well, they printed out, and I thought maybe during my mass make I would use her digitals. That was my thought process. But they printed out black and white, even though I had requested printing them in color. And then it got to this. So I thought, okay, well, I purchased a half a dozen or so, and when I get a new printer, I'll do that. But I thought in the interim, I would still do a mass make of sorts. And I have had people ask, okay, when you put your tags into the book, please show us. So I had thought to do that, and then I thought, well, gosh, why not do a mass make of tags? And I had intended to do a Junk Journal July, which is an event basically orchestrated by another junk journaler who does a completely different kind. She uses a lot more modern and actual, what many would call junk in hers, Meg's journals. And I had intended to do Junk Journal July, Junk Journal July, and do all the different tags that I had shared. Because I did just like basic tags and maybe show them exactly how to make them and decorate them. One option, of course, using my scraps, because I love scraps and I have a whole bunch. So that was what I thought I would do. But then again, life happened and plans have changed, so I'm not going to be able to do Junk Journal July after all. And I thought, well, gosh, maybe I can just pop on and maybe do a mass make that Tina's not able to do, and maybe let a few other people who may not, follow her channel and may not have heard, give them her information so that if they choose to, they can go and offer Tina some support, whether it's a message or purchasing a journal or buying a coffee or whatever. Just, something to say that we empathize with you and we hurt for you. So here are the tags as I've put them into my latest idea book. And I still have a little bit of space, and I still have a few more ideas that I want to include and put in here. But I've had lots of questions about this paper. This paper is all called Tattered Paint from Tracy at Tracy Fox Creative. She's also Love Junk Journals. And she's got a recent, wonderful news celebration thing. Her husband, Jay, just published a book. I think it's his first, but I won't swear to that. But he just published a book. And so, supporting them is also always a wonderful thing. But now I'm just combining things. So basically what this is just a combination of all kinds of things. It's maybe letting some viewers who may not have known about Tina and her situation, that she's going through a tough time, and maybe making a few of these tags today. I thought maybe we could do a mass make that Tina wasn't able to do, and maybe use some of these tag patterns as an idea or something. Here's one. This is from Tracy. This is an idea from Tracy that this is just a printed transparency on top of a tag. And Tracy had done that in one of her videos. So there are some of the tags that I had made. And I've also had a lot of questions about, how do you find time to create? How do you find time to make some things? And during the school week or during the work week, I really don't have a lot of time. So what I do, and I'll show you here, this is just one of my systems, is I've shared in the past how I sort my scraps. But before I get to the point where I'm sorting scraps, I kind of throw them all in one bin. So as I'm making things for a specific journal or a specific project, I kind of throw them all in one bin. And then later on, I'll sort them out when I'm ready to do that. Well, Justine at House of Mahalo had offered a challenge for June, Sayonara to Scraps. So rather than sorting my scraps, I just kind of dumped a bunch of the things that I had been working on into this one bin. And then I found another envelope pouch and I dumped some of that in there. So I've got all of these scraps. And what I have been doing after school or in the morning, because I tend to wake up early, I'll just make a few little things. And so I use this bin, just random scraps, to make something. And I often use the list that I had shared of Scrapbuster ideas. I'm going to zoom in just for a moment in case you want to screenshot that. I use my Scrapbuster ideas to see, what am I either in the mood to make or what do I need to make? What am I getting low on? So I'll use that scrap bin, and I'll use this list, and in just the few minutes that I have, sometimes it's a half an hour, sometimes it's less, I will make something. And that way it doesn't have to be a big production. And I recognize the fact that this video is kind of all over the place, but that's kind of where I am right now. I am kind of all over the place. Plans are changing, life is changing. My oldest daughter, Amy, okay, total squirrel, because somebody asked me this too, and so I'll go through the things I've made recently while I share that story. So somebody had asked me recently how Gail and I became friends, Gail Augustinelli. I know I mentioned a gazillion makers here, but I will get back to my main point. And one of the ways Gail and I connected initially is through our children. Our children don't know each other, but her oldest is Mike. She has 4 and I have 4, and her oldest is Mike. And my oldest son, Matt, was almost a Mike. My husband's best friend is Mike. So my Matt was almost a Mike, and her oldest is a Mike. And my next is Amy, and her next is Amy. And my third is Joni, and her third is Joni. So the name connection. And then her youngest is Mary, and my youngest is Tim, but her Mary was going to be a Tim if he'd been a boy. So that's how Gail and I met. Okay, so getting back to this. And now I've lost track of my thoughts, and that happens a lot. End of school year, teacher brain, tired teacher brain. So before and after school, I make things. And I should probably go back and look and see what I said. But I don't have a ton of time, and so I will watch or listen to select people. And so these are some of the things that I have made in the last month or so, either before school or after school or on the weekend or what have you. And let's see, Tina, that's who this one's really about. And I mentioned Gail and how we became friends because that was another question. And Tracy, And I've completely lost it. I don't even know where I was going in there. My brain is tired. Oh, yes, I do remember. Amy. The Amy connection made me think of it. Okay, see, even squirrel brain will eventually go back. My oldest daughter, Amy, got married last summer, and she is giving me a grandson in August. And so one of the plans that's changed is let's see, today's Saturday. So on Tuesday, I'm going to fly out to where they are in Minnesota and be with her and her husband Andrew for a week. So that's one of the reasons that my Junk Journal July plans have changed. Oh, this is just a paperclip pocket. Okay. So my Junk Journal July and showing how to make the tags, that plan changed. And that's fine. That's kind of like how life works. But making is still important to me, and it helps calm me and bring me peace when life gets crazy, and it's been crazy lately. I'm changing schools in the fall, and I'm changing grade levels, and they're good things. I actually get to work at a school that's our area school for deaf, and I am legally deaf in one ear. It's for the deaf and hard of hearing community, and so that's near and dear to my heart. So I'm really grateful that I get to go to that campus and that I get to be part of a super team. And I found out yesterday that I actually already know people or have connections to some of the teachers there, so that's really exciting too. But anyway, that's yet another change. And so I'm trying to roll with the punches and roll with the changes. And I want to make it clear, I probably didn't because I'm kind of all over the place, but I know that what Tina's going through is absolutely nothing like what I have gone through. I mean, her situation is so much more heart-wrenching, but having been through this whole leg business, it just makes me extra grateful for the support of the people who watch my channel and for the Junk Journal community at large, and just for the kindness of people. I mean, I didn't lose my leg. I am able to walk. I can't walk very well, and I still need more work, but I can walk. And so please don't think I'm trying to compare what I've been through with what she is enduring. But it just makes me more aware of how hard it can be to go through some of those tough things. So if you are so inclined, I would really encourage you to watch her video, listen to her challenges, and support her if you're able to or interested in. Okay, all of that getting me back to doing a mass make that she's not able to do because of her situation. And most of the time, I did mass make March this year, which I really, really loved. And I picked a couple different items and did mass makes for those. Most of the time when I have scraps, I will just, what does this scrap look like? And I will make something based on what that scrap. Well, you can see here, I pull out paper and say, well, what does this look like? And then I'll use my list and then I'll make something like this. This is a journal card with a little notepad on top. And this is just a simple journaling card. I mean, that's just kind of when I'm not sitting down intentionally wanting to make a specific thing or item, that's one of the things that I do. But this time I think what I will do, and I'm just weeding through these or flipping through these as I talk so that, people have asked that I do that. So that's why I'm doing it. I'm showing some of the things that I've been able to make just in the last month or so from scraps. And journal cards is one of the things that I need, as well as tags. I'm kind of low on them, well, relatively speaking, in my stash. Plus, they're a fun way to use up some scraps. So that's where I'm going with this. All of that circling back to say my whole goal and hope with this is to maybe be a mass make option for people, and a video that they can watch and mass make, and then maybe some awareness of the opportunity to support Tina as she goes through challenges. And this is kind of where I'm landing. And the reason I'm landing there is when I was going through that bin of scraps, I found that I had a lot of tag-sized pieces. I mean, they're not all tag-sized, but, I had a lot of those. So I thought maybe I would, flip through these and just do a couple of these tags. And that'll be our mass make. Okay. Now that I've got that done, I don't know what to say anymore. I guess we've got these and we'll just start. Oh, maybe I should show you what I've got. That's what I will do. I have shared in the past that I really love these vintage enamelware pans, And I don't spend much for them. I find them at antique stores or antique mall type stores. And I've gotten a couple through eBay, and I think I got some at auction in Shipshewana. I don't go to many auctions, but I try to get to Shipshewana a couple times a year. It's in northern Indiana, and it's one of my very favorite places. So in this tin, I've just got some of the die cuts that I got from Susan, Libra Designs by Susan, and some other pieces that I had cut out that had been in my scrap bin for a while. And these have all been inked and embossed with Seth Apter Vintage Beeswax Embossing Powder. That's the sheen that you're seeing on the top. So I just, one of the afternoons after school, I made a bunch of those. Pulled through my scrap bin and my die cuts and made a bunch of those. And then this is the tags that I use. They normally live, not tags, labels, Tracy labels. They normally live in this tin. But I had dropped the tin and I was picking it up and I realized how many I've gotten in there. So I just kind of threw them in this bin. So these two bins are on my desk. And then this bin is, I don't even know, tickets kind of type thing. Like many people, I need to use more of my stash. And one of the things I don't reach for often are the tickets, like the Tim Holtz tickets and things. So I've got those on my desk. I've got right next to me the bin of scraps. It's a big bin, so it's not sitting on my desk. It would take up the whole space. I've got my bin of scraps, and I've got this stack of card. And I also have what I had intended to do a while back was do some more note cards or journaling cards. And I was going to copy myself. This is a Scrapbuster idea book. And I was going to just copy myself with using this basic template, as it were, as an idea of the kinds of things to make. And I chose this one because of the pieces that I had out on my desk, or the pieces that I've got really close by. And then here's another journal card that's comparable using scraps. And I've got a couple of those butterflies, and I have a couple pieces of paper, and that was another one. And then I've got this one here. Again, same idea. This is just a journaling card. It's a note card with scraps on the front and a butterfly. And so I thought I'd use these as my templates. Well, these are note cards, Corey, and you have these bits for tags. So I thought, well, why not use the same idea on tags? And that will be our mass make. Okay, how long have I talked? 17 minutes, and I have done absolutely nothing. Okay, so let's see what we can do in maybe 15 minutes or so. All right, well, that's got an ugly spot on it, so let's see what we can cover. Let's see what we can cover with that. And now that I've said all those things, I don't really have anything more to say. I'm going to Minnesota on Tuesday to see my daughter Amy and her husband Andrew, and I'm really looking forward to that and being able to help them and be with them for a little bit. And I'm looking forward to teaching 4th grade. I've taught 4th grade in the past, but I haven't done it in a while. I guess it's been, 4 years, 5 years, something like that. And so I'm already thinking, I went and checked out my quote-unquote new-to-me school yesterday after school was out for the year, and got to meet some people. And that's when I found that I'd worked with one of the ladies when I taught at Tacoma online. And she was there for one of the years that I was with our online program. And that was great because I really liked her. I think she's a wonderful lady and a great teacher. And then one of the years that I was displaced, moved from my primary school to a different school based on student numbers, I worked with a gentleman, and his mom is going to be one of my 4th grade partners. So I'm really looking forward to that too. She's a super neat lady, and I'm not replacing somebody at this school. I am adding on. Their classroom size was really full, and they needed another teacher. So, okay, I like that. So that's what I'm going to be. I'm going to be a new teacher, and my goal, and what I've been informed, is that I should be able to stay at that campus. There's a need, and I'm not I should be able to stay there. So hopefully I won't have to move again. Okay, I cannot talk and think at the same time or analyze. But I do kind of like that. And so maybe I'll do something along these lines. Again, I'm not great at mass makes, and I know that. I do much better when I have a very set plan and I move forward with a set plan. But, you know, I'm going to try this because Tina was apologetic that Tina from Shabby Dabby Doodah was apologetic that she couldn't do her normal mass make. And I thought, well, gosh, I can't do much, but that's something I can do. And I really feel like if everybody that's able to can do a little bit, then it helps a lot. And it can make a difference. And that's my hope anyway. But I also really hope nobody thinks that I am trying to, tell anybody what to do or that kind of thing, or say that you should. It's just, I really feel for her and hope that she can come out of this in a good or a better place. Do we like that? See, I need you guys to have interactive, like I should do I've been asked several times to do a Facebook Live, and I've not done it, but I would get so sidetracked, me being me, and Lord knows I have a propensity to squirrel. Anyway, and the idea of having to read messages and interact and do based on that, I know it would be a hot mess. Okay, I actually kind of like that, so I'm just going to commit to it. And a lot of times when I do these type of things, I'll put several bases together or several starter pieces like this together, and then I'll go back and I'll either sew on them or add a lace, like a lace bit for a tag or an eyelet or something like that. I don't always by any means, but a lot of times I will. And I imagine that's what I'll do this time too. So, gosh, what else do I want to say? What else? I'm not great at small talk, and I know that. I know that about me. I can be really loud, but I'm just not super wonderful at small talk. So I hope everyone that's watching is doing well, and that life is treating them in a positive way, and that they're enjoying what they're doing. Okay, I kind of actually like that. So here we go. Maybe not yellow. What do you guys think? Is yellow too close? Should I use a different color? I don't even know what I've got, honestly, what I've got ready to go. Oh, I like this orangey color. How about that? Okay, maybe that one. Is that one a little better than the yellow? I don't know. Maybe we'll put that down there. So let's see. What was I going to share? What do I have to talk about? I'm so used to just sharing about directions or techniques or how-tos that I don't think about the conversational part of it. If anybody's got some fun plans that they'd like to share, I'd love to hear about it. I'll be at the airport for a couple hours waiting for my flight, so I'll have a little bit of time to read, and I would love to hear what you guys are up to. Or actually, another thing that I should do and could do is there something you'd like to see? Is there something you'd like me to show or share? Or sometimes people are great about asking, and I try to honor that when I'm able to. But other times, I'm just kind of guessing to see what people want. No, that covers up too much. I don't really like the way that looks now. Now that I'm looking at it again, I like those colors. I like the balance. Maybe it's the size that I'm not thrilled with. Oh, I know what I can share. One of the things I often, either if I'm not listening to a video, like a lot of times in the morning on my way to school, Gail Augustinelli's videos, I put them on because I have about an hour commute. I put them on my phone and I just listen. I don't watch, obviously, as I'm driving, but I do listen. And I haven't done that quite as much lately. You know what? That needs a little something there, doesn't it? Because I've been listening to a book on tape. I know everybody's got their favorite things and such, but I don't really watch TV. I'm much more of a reader. I always have been. And by the end of the day, a lot of times my eyeballs are fuzzy, as I call it, and it's hard to read the pages on a book. So I've switched to a Kindle for the most part. I mean, not exclusively, of course, but I also listen to Audible and books on tape. And I just finished a book by Kristen Hamill. I was listening to it, and I got it from our local library, but The Book of Lost Names. And my first degree is in history, and love history, and this one is set in World War II in Nazi Germany, and it was fabulous. I mean, it's a great book, and it would be wonderful even if you were reading it, but it was, the narrator had done a beautiful job of telling the story, and her voice was really delightful to listen to. So if you, like me, like to listen while you create or while you drive or what have you, I highly recommend that one. The Book of Lost Names by Kristen Hamill. Conversely, if you have a book that you think was wonderful, that you enjoyed, please feel free to put that below, because during the summer, when I'm doing yard work or things around the house or what have you, I also listen to books. So if you've got a suggestion or a recommendation, I would love to hear it. All right, let's see. It's only taken me, an hour, half an hour, something like that, to do one piece, and so that doesn't really qualify as a mass make. But I'll put that there, and then I'll put a bit of lace in later, and I'll call that one tag, almost done. And does it look anything like any of these? Absolutely not. So these ones that I brought out for inspiration, I didn't end up doing anything like that. I guess that's what happens when I talk and work at the same time. All right, so I'm gonna use this one as an inspiration. So I need a strip, and then a printed image and a label. That's pretty straightforward, and that'll hide the ugly spot that's right here. So a strip. Let's pick out a strip. Well, that's kind of cool. How about, I just literally reached over, grabbed a piece of, a bit of paper from that bin that I've got next to me. So I will do that. And maybe like this. Sure. So anyway, book recommendations. I love those. I'm always happy to have those. And summer plans. I am really hoping against hope that my next procedure on my leg, which has been postponed for a bit for a variety of reasons that I don't want to get into, but I'm really hoping that it's the last procedure I have for a very long time, if ever. I mean, hopefully forever, but for at least for a very long time. And I like that, but this is too wide, so I'm just going to trim it down. And I think actually, rather than putting lace at the top of this one, I will see if I've got some red fabric to tie that bit of red color in there. And I actually won't sew. That's two I haven't sewn. That's pretty unusual for me. Though I think I did sew this one. See here, I did sew down that one. Plans for the summer. So my newest grandson, baby AJ, will be born in August, and I'm pretty excited about that. And my granddaughter Breck turns 3 in July, and my grandson Emmerich turns 2 in August, and my Amy's due date is really close to his birthday. So baby AJ, we don't know what the A and the J are going to be 100% yet, but baby AJ may share a birthday with his cousin. So that would be actually kind of cool. And yeah, so that's my plan. Oh, physical therapy. I got sidetracked. I do that a lot. I am a cyclist, and I'm not a crazy cyclist as far as I don't put in a lot of miles or a lot of hours. I used to, but not so much anymore, of course. See, there you go, comparable. I am hoping that one of the things they recommended, because the doctor has told me point blank that because of my age, and I'm not that old, but because of my age and the type of injury I had and such, that I shouldn't expect to have to ever return to 100% mobility and function that I had prior to the injury. And, you know, I'm just grateful that I didn't lose my leg. So cycling, and I'm hoping to be able to get back to cycling because I've really missed it. All right, I kind of like that, but I'm wondering, do I need another piece down there? Another bit of green? No, maybe not. Maybe I'm overthinking it. I do that sometimes. All right, so I'm going to put, we'll call that 2. And I'll put the tops on those later. And that was the inspiration there. So not identical by any means, but it's similar enough. All right, so let's use this one as my inspiration piece, because I'm going to call, well, that'll be 4 if I do these. And then maybe if I do one more, that'll be 5. And I can call 5 a mouse make, right? Let's see. Let's do this color. This is a heavy one. Oh, this is 2 pieces. That's why it's kind of heavy. So it's a different size, but it's still the same thing. And basically it looks like strips. And then some words. Oh, I like hello. That's kind of cute. So maybe that'll be my word bit on here that I use. Yeah. Oh, that's another thing I get to go do is if you've got a printer suggestion. I really like my printer, but obviously it's not working well. And so if you've got a printer suggestion, that would be great. I'll probably end up going to Costco and just buying whatever Costco's got because it's easy and it's quick, and Costco's a place I actually shop. So bicycling this summer, working on the backyard because that is so very, very necessary. Working on the front yard because that is also so very necessary. Grandbaby will be in Coeur d'Alene. Coeur d'Alene is one of my favorite places on the planet. Okay, that'll work. That's a good one with print. And we're going there for a week in July to celebrate my sister's birthday and Emmerich's birthday. Oh, that's really pretty. That's a daffodil one. That should go in my daffodil journal. Celebrate Breck's 3rd birthday, Emmerich's 2nd birthday. We're having a baby shower for my daughter Amy and her husband Andrew and their new baby. So that'll be fun. Let's see, Emmerich's birthday, Breck's birthday, my sister's birthday, and baby shower. So we're going to have a little mini celebration each day. And all I'm doing right now is just kind of looking through the bin to see what I've got that will work for that. For this to emulate this. So that's kind of what I'm doing. It's just down in my lap because there's no more room on the top of my desk. So between getting ready for 4th grade and seeing Amy and Andrew and getting ready for my grandbaby, that's kind of all I'm doing this summer. But I'm grateful that I get to do those things, and I'm grateful that okay. True story, guys. I am not great at winging it. It's not my thing. But maybe those pieces, maybe I'll do it all in neutrals because I like neutrals. And that's kind of pretty. Maybe I'll put a little bit of that on there too. Just, pulling out some pieces and, oh, that's kind of cool. All right, so I grabbed some pieces. I'll put those there. And again, yeah, so if there's something you'd like me to do or you'd like to see, please let me know. And if I'm able to do it, I'm happy to do it. Don't know how many videos I'll make. I will actually at some point do those tags, and I'll have it planned and prepped and all of that stuff so that I won't be such waffling around so often or so much. This is just off-print paper. I have a stack of paper over here that I use for gluing and such. So if you've got something you'd like to see, I'm more than happy to do it, but I do intend to come back to the tags and show, because I've had some new folks ask that I show how I made those. And so I will be glad to do that. I will show how I made each one of those tags and decorated, and maybe a quick mini series or do 2 or 3 at a time, something along those lines. This, I believe, is a Gail Augustinelli digital. And that's another thing. I purchased Tina's, and I don't purchase many digitals, not because I don't like them, I do very much, but I don't remember who I got what from. And then I feel guilty about not remembering who I got what from, and then that stresses me out a little bit. So that's one of the reasons that I rarely purchase, from other places, just because I don't want to be the person who gives the wrong person credit or doesn't give credit. But I believe this is Gail's. One of hers. I used it in the Flips, Flaps, and Folds series that I did. And she did a beautiful job with it. And she's got lots of others too. There's just so many talented digital creators. Sue at Paper Inspirations has started doing digitals now, and hers are just lovely. And Tina does them, obviously, but there's just a gazillion wonderful digital creators. And that's one of those things you just kind of have to go look and see what's available and see who does what you like and that kind of a thing. That makes it just easier on my small brain to follow Tracy and use mostly her digitals, because then I don't feel guilty about giving credit to the wrong person or forgetting who to give credit to. All right, so this is turning out to be not the same thing at all, but that's okay. It's still going to be comparable with scraps and words and such. And let's see, maybe it's getting too busy. Yeah, because you're not even seeing that really. So maybe I just need to put some of it. Okay, it is getting too busy. So when plan A doesn't work, you go to plan B, right? Yeah. Clearly, talking and creating is not a gift of mine. When I've got that's upside down, that'll make me a crazy person. I know some people don't mind upside down, but I don't do well with upside down. Unless it's all, like if everything is random and cattywampus, and then I'm okay with it. But if just one piece is upside down, yeah, I just can't do that. And that's a straight line, but that's okay because I'm going to put that doily over the top, so it's not really going to show. Okay. This is definitely an area where I can use some work, is the talking and making. And, Gail is brilliant at it, brilliant. And I guess I have room to grow, which is always a good thing. Okay, that's better. I like that a little bit better. There we go. And I'll put that down. And maybe I'll put... That might be just too much, but I really like the texture that it adds. All right, trim it down first, Corey, and then see what you think. And I think part of it for me too is I don't generally, you know what? There's no reason on earth a little bit of this can't be on the back of it. This is just some vintage book page. And it might kind of look nice on the back to add a little bit of interest, so maybe I'll just do that. Sure, we'll see. And that's, I think I mentioned before, one of the reasons I enjoy this so much is because when I work with scraps, if I make something that I really don't care for or I'm not pleased with or just doesn't work for me, it's scraps. I don't have to feel bad about tossing it or reworking it or reimagining it or that type of thing. So, okay, and now let's put a little bit of ink on that. And I will glue that bit down. I don't generally use art glitter glue or reptile glue for really thin paper like this, but I'm just putting it on really lightly, and so hopefully that'll work. That way I don't have to grab out another glue page to do this. Oh, see, there you go. It's so old and brittle that it tore, but I can put a little bit of tape there. That'll fix it. Now, just to add a little bit of interest, and I can always put a thin line of washi or something down there. Okay, and ink that edge a bit. Gosh, I've kind of been all over the place. And I think maybe that's why I focus so much in sharing a specific idea, because boy, can I squirrel. I can squirrel like there's no tomorrow. And one of the videos I made recently that was a longer video took forever to upload. So I'd kind of told myself that I wouldn't make such long videos in the future. But then again, well, I like that? Should I put it over the whole thing, or does it kind of compete with that? And this isn't long enough, so if I were going to use that, I would need to use a longer piece. Okay, well, I'm not loving it. I guess I could do it that way. I could turn it into a pocket, but I don't really want a pocket on here. Maybe just sew around the edge and put that on the top so it's more of a hint. What do you guys think? Maybe I'll put this on the next one. Maybe just a single layer of paper and not so busy. Okay, maybe that's what we'll do for the next one. So I'll put that to the side. This, I've got too much in front of me. Can't think. Okay, so that's not going to end up looking a ton like this, but that's okay. That's quite all right. Do this. And the sewing machine is still right next to me, so I think I can pull that up and sew around the edges on that. And just give it a little bit of that little bit of a glue to hold it in place. And I'll sew around that edge. Okay. Maybe if I can get it over here. You know what? I can't. So I will sew it and just talk to you while I sew that, because there's too much stuff on my desk right now. And I'm just sewing around the edge of it. And my new machine, somebody asked about it, how I like it. It's working great. It's small, it's lightweight, it's super sturdy. It fits on the little shelf that I've got next to my desk. It's kind of a lift-up arm that I created so that if somebody needs to sleep in this room, there's still room for them to sleep in here. And I can move everything underneath the base of my desk if I need to. So I'm really liking it. It's working out well. And like I said, it was just maybe a couple $100 on Amazon. And if I'd had more time, I probably would have looked at like Facebook Marketplace or that type of thing. Okay, got that sewed around. And I know that not everybody likes to sew on their pages, which is, perfectly fine. You can always glue it down if sewing isn't your thing. Or you can sew by hand. And sometime I used to do that all the time in scrapbooking before my mom gave me one of her machines. I just sewed by hand. I just poked it and sewed by hand. And that worked fine too. Okay, there we go. All right, that is the top. And I had a butterfly on this one, so I guess I could put a butterfly there. But I'm really, really loving these beautiful flowers by Susan. Oh, and that's actually kind of pretty. It's tall, but that might be a little too big for that space. That daffodils. Oh gosh, the colors. Isn't that pretty? All right, what do you guys think? Should I put that one on, or do you prefer the pink? The pink is kind of pretty too. I like that sunflower really well as well. Well, at least I have options, right? Or maybe I should do something like that. No, the balance of the weight is not right on there. Nope, it needs to be taller and thinner if I'm going to do something like that. Yeah, because you have all that empty spot up there. So tall and thin or tall and thin. Let's see what I've got. Oh, that's kind of pretty. Oh, okay, I kind of like that. With the writing showing at the bottom. Okay, I'll grab that one. Well, we're going to call that one the one we're going to use. And this is really pretty on here too. So maybe on our next one, maybe as I'm throwing things back, I'll throw this out, some book page and that and that. Okay, so maybe we've got our next one at least sort of laid something. And I like the hello on there. Okay, I'm going to call that good. And like I said, this is just the Libra Designs by Susan, her die cuts. And then I just chose several of them randomly and pre-stamped with clear embossing ink and Seth Apter Vintage Beeswax embossing powder. Just did several to have them ready to go in that bin. It's one of those things that I do to get ready to create when I know I'm not going to have a lot of time to create. So there we go. Okay, I kind of like that. And this hello, kind of like that. With a little number on it. Yep, I do. It's similar-ish to this with words and messages and an image. I guess I could put, if I have a tiny little butterfly, I could put a tiny little butterfly up there, couldn't I? And I'll put that down over here. And I will probably, yeah, I definitely will. All right, before I do that though, I want to, now here, I'm not going to do the long slit like I have on these two, simply because of the die that's there. So, and where it is, I don't want to cut through that. So what I'll do is, I think up here I have a couple brads, and that's center-ish, close enough for me. And this little bin, I think, not brads, eyelets. I think I have a couple eyelets in there, and I do. So I think I'll put an eyelet there. Maybe. There we go. Okay, I like that. I like the color. It's not perfectly centered, but I'm not great at perfectly centering things. So, yeah, I can work with that. And I said I was going to do some, oh, to see if there's a butterfly. I don't know if I've got a little butterfly done or not. This one might be too big. Yeah, it's definitely too big and it's the wrong color. I thought I had a couple little ones in here, but maybe I don't. Well, here's a little guy. Oh, and it's blue. Oh, that's pretty. Do I want it at the top? Oh, no, I want him down there. What do you guys think? Is that a good one? Or is it too busy, too bulky? Maybe that is too bulky. And the blues are different. But it is kind of cute, too. You know what I could do is, instead of using lace up top, I could use some blue. All right, I'll commit to it. And I'll put this little guy. He did the same thing with these. I just grabbed a handful of the butterflies and pre-embossed them, I guess I should say. Sometimes I'll use string to make a little antenna for the butterfly, but sometimes I'll just use a pen like that, just to kind of make it a hint. And I'll tie on the tag later on and call that one good, call that one done. Okay, so I've got 1, 2, 3. Oh, that's 3. That's pretty good. And I sort of copied that. I'll move that to the side. And I still need to copy this. But I had this one almost set up, so I need to grab a piece of book page. And I believe I have some book page in here. I do. Oh, here we go. Oh, it's not quite wide enough, but does it need to cover the whole thing? Yeah, it does. It kind of does need to cover the whole thing. Let's see if I've got a piece in here that is large enough. There's some book page. We'll use that one. I have no idea what it says, but it's not going to show enough to worry about. So, okay, here, and I'll use this as my glue paper. Move those to the side. I've got lights on either side, so hopefully you're not getting too much shadow on here. Okay. Glue. Move the glue page and put this down. Where's the line? Okay. Okay. That. I think that's mostly straight. Push it down. Sometimes what I'll do is, for those of you who may be new, this is just an ice scraper, an Eddie Bauer ice scraper. They were on clearance, I don't know, several years ago, I guess, and I got a few of them, and I really like them for pushing glued items down and into the glue. So that's what that is. And I will trim this around. And this is just thin book page. I have, like I said, there were scraps in there. So I don't really know what it says, or I'm usually pretty careful about that, just to make sure that there's nothing offensive. But, well, sometimes you just go with it. All right, so that is there, and I am going to, you know what, I didn't round, let's see, we rounded the edges straight. I think maybe I'll round the edges on this one. And this is a We Are Memory Keepers corner rounder. I like it simply because it's got 3 sizes on it. Makes it handy. I don't have to look for 3 different corner rounders. I do have the big chomper, so I like that for thicker things, but just to have on hand for these little things. This one works pretty darn well. And I don't believe it was spendy, and I think you can still get it on Amazon. Okay, so there is that. And I'm going to put that bit of doily down, so I want to ink the edge first prior to putting that doily on, because it'll be more difficult to ink it afterwards. And then this is just a piece of scrap card, offcut of card. I actually prefer, I know I'm a party of one, but I really prefer using cardstock when I make the pages in my junk journals, simply because I don't always, I pretty much never follow the same formula or format that most do in having a bunch of blank pages or lightly decorated pages to write on. I much more do the heavier pages, thicker pages, and then places to write within those pages, like hidden journaling spots or pockets or tags or that type of thing. That's just, I don't know, it seems to be what I like to do. So I like all that to say I have a lot of offcuts because I like using cardstock when I make the bases of my journals. Okay, I like that. I do. All right, and then again, I don't usually use art glitter glue for this, but it works really well for this type of a thing. All these little itty bitty spots, and it dries really clear too, so I can pick it up with my rubber cement square, or just, honestly, this one I probably won't even need to do that because I'm going to put a die cut on top of that, and that's going to show through, so let's smear that out a little bit. Okay, put that down. It kind of blends in a little bit, but I actually really like that. I kind of like that subtle effect. I don't know how well you can see it on screen, but I kind of like that. And then I'll cut this down, and I could roll it around, but yeah, I'll save it and probably use it for something else in a layer. Oh, I know, I had another thing to share. I didn't write a list this time, and see what happens when I don't write a list. I just kind of wing it. Oh, maybe a couple weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I got a package in the mail that was partially destroyed. It was an envelope, and I couldn't see the return address. I mean, I couldn't see all of it. I couldn't see who it was from, but it turns out it was Sherry. I could see that it was Michigan, but it was Sherry. So thank you very much to Sherry for that wonderful mail. Beautiful items made. Okay, so I kind of do like that, and I really like this daffodil spray. I mean, it's subtle color on color. Maybe it just needs to be, yeah, that's what it needs. It just needs a little more color. So I'm just taking my sponge dauber and going over that section just a bit to make it a little bit darker, so there's a little bit more contrast there. I do like working in neutral palettes. That's just my own preference because it goes with so many things, but I also like working in color. In fact, my classroom is always bright. I use a Peanuts theme in my classroom because of Charles Schulz. I grew up in Sonoma County, California, and Charles Schulz lived and worked there. Yeah, I really like that. Okay, so let's glue this down. So my classroom theme is always Peanuts. And I had some ideas of things I can do different. I taught online school the last several years until October when I was transferred back to a physical building. And a couple little changes were made and just reminders of some things. And kids are kids, but growing up, or I shouldn't say growing up because they're not grown up yet, but living in a COVID era as a teacher, I am finding, and I'm hearing it from other teachers, that there's just some differences in kids. I mean, kids are still kids, of course, and they still need quality education, of course, but there's just differences in the behaviors, the expectations, their demeanor, and so in order to meet their needs more fully and more appropriately, I have to make some changes too. And so I've been kind of working on that just so I can be the person that they need me to be to help them become who they are meant to be. Okay, I really like that one. That one's kind of fun. It needs a little bit of a tag there, and I'll put a bit of lace at the top. I'll definitely use this slot punch because that's a good one for lace on top of that. And now I just kind of need to find No, I don't want the circle on that one. Let's see, what kind of, it's probably too big. I'm guessing it needs to be a little bit thinner. I don't know, that's kind of cool, huh? I kind of like it. And you know what I could do? I might could. So let's put this one on. Because it's enough different of a print. That's just a plain like Times New Roman, I think, font. And this is a cursive font, so I like that. And I keep this Cricut tool so that if I glue something down and I change my mind and I need to lift it up, this flat piece really helps with that. And I think what I want to do is tuck a little bit of it. I don't want to tuck the whole thing, but I do want to tuck a little. And you know, sometimes I like my pieces hanging off, but sometimes I don't, and I don't think I want this one to hang off. I think I want this one to be right on there. Maybe on the corner. Yeah, I think I like that. Okay. Make a commitment and move on. I don't know, some people call it faffing or waffling around with the best of them. But sometimes I remind myself just, it's one bit of ephemera, make a decision and move on. Okay, make sure it's straight. And then I'll come back and tuck a little bit of glue under those pieces so they stay down and hold it in place. What else? I don't really have a lot to share. I don't really go anywhere. I don't really do anything. I mean, I work and I come home. But I am looking forward to going to Minnesota. And I know. I am really hoping that while I'm there, we're able to go to the Traverse City Cherry Festival. It's going to be taking place while I'm in Minnesota. It's in Michigan, which is through Wisconsin. So Minnesota's here. For those of you not in the U.S., here's Minnesota, and it's right next to Wisconsin, and then you go across Lake Michigan, and then there's Traverse City. And I've been to Traverse City. It's absolutely a beautiful, beautiful place. Love it. On the west coast of Michigan, on Lake Michigan. And they have a cherry festival, and my family loves festivals, all different kinds of festivals, and I've never been to a cherry festival, so I'm looking forward to that. Okay, so let's see, we've done 1, 2, 3, we've done 4, so, oh gosh, we're going to have to call 4 a mass make because I'm way too close to the hour part. The last thing I'm going to do here before I put them aside to dry is I'm going to use my Nuvo Deluxe Crystal Glaze. And 4 things in an hour is okay because I went through the book to show you the tags, and I talked and talked and talked, and I went through the items that I've made this last month for the Sayonara to Scraps that Justine at House of Mahalo has been doing. So I'm going to I just like the way it finishes it off. I don't always do this, but I do it on a couple pieces on most things just because I just like the finishing it gives. Sometimes I do splatters, ink splatters. That's very much a mixed media thing, but I really like the way that looks too. And let's put this one. You know what? I know what this one needs. No, I'm not. I'm just going to do it right here where that would be. Yeah, I like that. I'll let those dry, and then I will put on a bit of ribbon release. And I keep up here the faux vintage cellophane. I've got a little piece of it right here. So I cut it off and I'll put it back up on the arm of when I want just a little tiny bit to give a finishing touch, because I feel like it needs a little bit of something right there. And see, it's subtle, it's small. I don't even know if you can see it, but I can see it. And you know what? Maybe, does it need another piece at the top? Yeah, it does. See? It's just super simple, doesn't add much at all, but I like the change. So that's, okay, so maybe it's not much of a mass make, but we'll call it good and we'll call it done. Please, I would encourage you, if you're interested, well, maybe we'll make this one next time. Go listen to Tina's story and support her if you're able to, or if you're moved to. And just remember that I appreciate you, and I'm happy you're here. If you've got any questions, comments, interests, things you'd like me to do or share, please feel free to include it in the box below. I'm always happy to hear from you. Take care all. Happy summer and happy creating.